So if you ever thought like, hey God, I'm feeling lost in life, help me. Well, I got some good news for you. That's God kind of sending you a signal to evolve. And here's what I mean by that. When I look back at my life and I looked at all the most challenging moments, the moments where I thought I was gonna die, my dark night of the souls, where I would have done anything to make this change. Those were the moments when I started to question reality. And the thing that always comes back to me is like, when we don't know how we got here. Like, where were you before you were born? How did humans get here? Some theories. We don't know our purpose here. Like, why are we actually here? To do what? It's not definitely not to work, maybe to procreate, but for what purpose? And where do we go when we die? I don't know. Where do we go when we die? So these are some existential questions I ask myself sometimes. Okay. So if we don't know any of that, means we can't really know what our purpose is. So, we're here in this mysterious experience to explore, to expand, to evolve, maybe to create, and if you believe that we were made in God's image, then there's a likelihood that we're here to learn and evolve as human beings or as spirits. And I had this really wild experience on a journey, a psychedelic journey, where I got a glimpse of playing hide and seek with God, where, God is kind of like having an experience through us. And there are moments where he's hiding and we question if he even exists. And then there are moments where it's so obvious, where it's like God is winking at you. And it's like a peekaboo kind of moment. You ever had those moments when a weird synchronicity happens, or when you collide with someone on your path and it's almost 1 million to 1 probability of something happening, or hearing this from that. And I've had so many stories about that, where just that the math doesn't add up. And we joke, some of my friends of mine, where what's the probability that's happening? And the probability is really 100% because it was meant to be that way. And so when you're feeling kind of lost in life, just remember, this is where you kind of get thrown into the deep end, where you start to really question, so that you can actually find a pathway back to God. And I'm not saying this in a religious way, but that spirituality, that divine nature, that expansiveness. And if you really start looking and questioning, you'll start to see it in the smallest things, the synchronicities in nature and the people that cross your path. And when you really pray, and it doesn't mean in a religious way, but just asking for a sign, for connection, for growth, you're usually going to get it. And it usually comes in the hardships. The biggest transformation of my life came from the hardest times, the dark nights of the soul, where I thought I was dying. I can see now how that led me to change my pathway in life, because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And maybe you start realizing that now I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You might starting to feel a little bit lost. So you're right at the edge of what it is about to become, this transformative space. We start to really question things. And then you ask yourself, what do I really want? And this is where it's important to have a practice. Because the more we can clear our mind, the more we can hear our intuition. And the intuition is the guide that guides us to our higher calling, towards our purpose, to get a little bit closer to that purpose. And things like breathwork, plant medicine, meditation, healthy eating are all kind of clearing that space. So the more we can be present in the present moment, the more we can hear intuition, the more it can lead us towards where we need to go. The next thing that's really important is trying to imagine or feel into what you want your life to be like. And it doesn't need to be specifics as far as like, I want to have a fancy car and I want to be in a mansion, I want to do all these things. It's more like, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel when I wake up in the morning? How do I feel my relationships? How do I want my work to feel? How do I want my mental health to feel? My creativity, my ideas, like all the areas of life, how do you want to feel? Because that'll start attracting things into your life. And as they start coming in, then you can discern whether you actually want that or not, right? But until you actually have those experiences, it's very hard to know if this is what you actually want. Because what you want right now is based on the level of consciousness of where you're operating right now. What I mean by that is, if you're operating at a level of consciousness where you have a lot of fears or just beliefs or things that have happened to you, you might think you want certain things because of that. So, if someone has a belief that they're not enough, that they think they want to prove themselves with a promotion or this and that. But as we start to change and realize that we are enough, we no longer want that. What we might want is more adventure or more time with family or actually less work, okay? But we got to start somewhere. So you got to start from right now. What do you feel like you want and why do you want it? It's an important question. And as you get clear on that and you start believing that is possible and you start going towards that, things are going to start happening. And that's where you see God really step back in, give you that wink like, hey, you're on the right path. That's where we gotta trust a little bit. We gotta have faith that there is a higher power. There's lots of evidence there if you look for it. So take a look back in your life at all the moments that have been dark and hard and confusing where you ask questions, and what happened after that? How did things change and shift? And so if you're feeling that right now, just know you're probably at another inflection point in your life, ready for that next big change. So keep your eyes open, keep your heart open, be aware of what's in front of you and look for it. If you need some help clearing your mind, getting into your heart, you can check out elementalrhythm.com. We've got something, we've got an app with amazing breath work that will help you to kind of get clear on some of these things, be present in the moment, and start moving towards that dream life that you deserve. So I'm Gio, thanks for watching this video. And yeah, connect with me on Instagram at elementalgio. Leave a comment below if you agree, disagree, like this video, subscribe, all the things if you want. Share with a friend. Peace.